Welcome to this final video on this series. In this video, we're talking about emotions and relationships. So relationships can be a relationship between an employer and a boss. So it can be relationship at work. It can also be relationship at home, whether that is a marriage or it is between a parent and a child, parenting, that's a relationship. It can be relationship with friends. But it can also be relationship with anything, relationship with your money. What sort of relationship do you have with your money? But I'm going to just focus on the relationship between people, not with things. So when we relate with other people, like I mentioned in one of the videos, the previous videos, I said our relationship thrives or fail at an emotional level. Now, if we are talking about relationships at work, for example, you come into the workspace and each individual comes to work with their own emotional blueprint. So you've got your own emotional memory, you've got your own individual values, your self-image, your traits, and your motives, which are not really in alignment with the other people that you work with. And this is what I often say. We work the better part of our lives. When we retire, we go and we die. But often we work with people that we don't even know. You don't know what their emotional blueprint is. You don't know what their values are. You don't know what actually led to the formation of those values. So often we begin to violate each other's values unaware, and we trigger each other at an emotional level unaware. It's the same with a marriage. So we get into a marriage and we hope to live happily ever after. But here's the challenge. You have met with someone with a different emotional blueprint than you have. They have they've got past memories, they've got their own individual values based on their socialization. So they are not going to automatically subscribe to your own values. So what do we need to do? It needs to be a conscious effort where we sit and discuss the individual values. Now, not the values that you think you need to have. This requires a lot of awareness. Have you individuated the value yourself? So instead of coming in with expectations, have you found ways of living out your own values so that you don't project your own values onto another person? We generate values based on our unmet needs. Now, when our needs are unmet and we meet someone else, normally we project our own unmet needs onto the person. We expect them to meet your unmet needs, and you don't actually communicate it. They don't actually know your story. They don't actually know why you have the value that you have. So when we begin to violate each other's value in a marriage, then we begin to have the conflicts. And sometimes when we are unable to manage that conflict, we end up in divorce. Talk about parenting. When we talk about parenting, I, as an adult, have got my own emotional blueprint. I've got my own unconscious inheritances, whether it is values or beliefs. I often say this in seminars to say sometimes you hear people say, you're just like your mother. You speak just like your mother. You act just like your mother. Why is that? Because we've inherited certain things, even at a biological level, from our parents. And often, when we are unaware, when we do not individuate, we pass on these beliefs on to our children. So we keep on passing from one generation to the next. I often say, you often hear some people who say, in my family, we don't get married. Why? It's become a belief and they pass it from one generation to the next. One author said, family histories are just like national histories. If you do not study them, they will repeat themselves. This is because we are passing on these emotional blueprints from one generation to the next. And we talk about friendships. Now, how do you connect with your friends? What unmet needs do you want your friends to meet? Now, also, are you aware of your values? It actually has been shocking for me as an individual to realize that I was not consciously aware of my value. And the moment I became consciously aware of my value and I began to express that value, I had an issue with one of my friends that we've been so long together as friends for many, many years. But when I lived with the value unconscious, I submitted to whatever was going on. It was not an issue. But the moment I became aware of the value and I wanted to express it, I started generating conflict in the relationship. So we start we need to actually go through these relationships and find out what are your values, what do you want to stand for, and what are you currently presenting in the relationship. And if you go for a long time sacrificing your own value, the result is frustration. The result is loathing. Now, the one thing I've also realized is you need to be aware of your values and the emotional states and the unmet needs so that you can meet your own unmet needs. When your needs are not met, it's difficult to get that from somebody. Let me give you an example. What do I mean? Say you are seeking love. You cannot get love from someone if you don't love yourself. Say you are seeking respect. You cannot get respect from other people if you don't have self-respect. Say you are seeking approval. You cannot get approval from other people if you don't have self-approval. So we need to do a lot of inner work, build a strong inner core if we are to thrive in relationships. And we need to become aware of our own emotional blueprints, past emotions, past experiences that may interfere with the present. What is your past experience when it comes to marriage, to work, to parenting, to your friends? And are you aware of these emotional states and how do you manage them so that you create thriving relationship? You create meaningful, purposeful, and fulfilling relationship based on you starting by building your inner core, knowing your values, meeting your unmet needs or your motives, creating that strong self-confidence, and managing your behavior. I like to use the word ABCs of behavior. So you need to become aware of the behavior, borrow a behavior that gets you the result you want, and conduct your behavior. So you actually act with intentionality. You are aware of the results you want to create, and then you act accordingly. You are in alignment. Your values, your self-image, your traits, and your motives. Everything inside of you is in alignment. When you are aligned internally, it is easy to connect with other people. Relationships are for connection. If you are not connected internally, the result is disconnection on our outside. Now, the challenge is most of us are seeking for connection from outside, not from within. So emotions drive your results in any relationship. So you need to understand and manage past, present, and future emotions for you to achieve the relationship you are seeking for. Thank you.